everyone, welcome to my presentation today that aims to help you prepare for a Registered Nurse Degree Apprenticeship. Just to note that I also have a separate video on my YouTube channel for any of you applying for a Trainee Nursing Associate Apprenticeship, as they're different level apprenticeships. So today I'm going to go through how to prepare for a Registered Nurse Degree Apprenticeship interview. I'll signpost some essential key reading and research to do before the interview. This reading will really help you answer potential interview questions. I'll talk through some example generic interview questions so you can prepare for them too. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to press the like button and do subscribe to my channel. It's free to subscribe, and I release videos on Sundays to support all different levels of nurses and help their career development. There's lots of videos on there to help with future course assignments too. So I hope you find this video helpful. So just before I go any further, some of my other YouTube videos you might find helpful. If you haven't applied for your nursing apprenticeship, I've got a very good video on how to write a nursing personal statement. When you have interviews coming up, I have videos on overcoming nerves in a nursing interview, questions to ask at the end of a nursing interview, and tips for a group nursing interview where you might have group work and discussions. So do check those out. So the biggest tip I can give any of you out there is preparation. The more you prepare, the easier it will be. What you do before the interview counts, as what you say in the interview is going to reflect your preparation and the research that you've done about your apprenticeship, what your apprenticeship entails, about nursing as a profession, depending on what field you've applied for. It's highly unlikely that you are going to be offered a place on a nursing apprenticeship if you haven't prepared for those questions. Places are competitive and interviewers expect you to have some knowledge about what you've applied for. So in this video, I'm going to signpost everything you need to know, where to look for it, and some key questions you might be asked in your interview. Next key tip is to allocate time to prepare and rejig your diary prior to your interview where possible. We all have life outside work, we have jobs, and you may be applying with lots of responsibilities at home or at work, but trying to justify this, so you might have to cancel a night out with friends, for example, because you are paid a wage on a degree and your fees are paid, and if you think about it, you're going to be saving a lot of money, and so prioritizing your time during that period before your interview is important. Don't make the mistake of just preparing the night before. You need to rest the night before as well and do that preparation. You need to know about the degree course, what the apprenticeship entails, what registered nurses do, and then you need the time to reflect on that groundwork. And it's very difficult to do that preparation the night before, and it shows in interviews. It's also important not to presume, and I've done so many interviews over the years where somebody presumes that because the manager is supporting them, so that it might be an internal apprenticeship, the manager's supporting them, and they turn up to interview and they think because the manager's supporting them, they haven't done any preparation. They've been a support worker with that employer, the manager's happy to support the study days, but they still, which is fantastic, but they still have to go through a university interview and with the apprenticeship lead, and they think, well, if my manager's happy, I don't need to do any preparation, and then they end up not being offered a place. You need to work for it. Registered nursing degree apprenticeships are usually very competitive. They're a great way to achieve a level 6 nursing degree without being in debt. Your fees are paid and your study days are paid. So the more you prepare, the easier it will be for your interview. I'm not saying don't expect nerves. Even if you prepare, you're going to feel naturally nervous. But if you've done your background reading, you're inevitably going to find it easier to answer questions. Interviewers take account of nerves. It's more about what you say, and your preparation will help that. So in summary, what you do before the interview counts. What you say in interview is going to reflect your preparation, and the research you've done will be reflected in what you say. So in this video, I'm going to signpost where to do the research and find this key information. So there are 4 key areas of preparation. Firstly, you need to know about what a registered nurse does. For example, what qualities, skills, knowledge are required to become a nurse in the field that you're applying for. You might be applying for mental health, adult nursing, learning disability, or children's nursing apprenticeship. Second area is knowing what an apprenticeship actually is. What does the apprenticeship entail? And what is this specific employer offering on this apprenticeship? How many study days are they offering? What hours and commitment is required? How long will it take? How many years? And I've seen interviewees say in their interview, I can only work 2 days a week. And they don't realise that you can't do the apprenticeship on offer on just 2 days a week. So you need to know this information. Thirdly, you need to know what is covered on the degree programme academically. You need to have an idea of what you have to do to complete the course academically. What are you letting yourself in for over the next 4 years? Because you're going to be asked questions on the academic requirement. Do you have an idea of the assessments, the teaching and learning taking place? Does the course reflect a modular approach with different modules on different topics? Does it reflect a blended learning approach that combines face-to-face and online activities? You might have a range of teaching seminars or self-directed study. Do you have assessments that includes poster, observed skills assessment and essays? You don't need to know lots of details, but you should have some idea of some aspects of the course and the nursing programme that you've applied for. Fourth key area for preparation relates to potential interview questions. They're going to relate to the role, the apprenticeship and the degree course that you've applied for, and whether you can handle the clinical and academic work involved. Hence these 4 areas for preparation. So you need to spend time reflecting on your past experiences and have some examples that show off achievements and align to your core skills and the core skills and values, qualities required for this registered nurse degree apprenticeship. And I'll give you some tips in this talk. So how can you find out what a registered nurse does? You might be a support worker, so you may have an idea, but you still need to go into some of the specifics. A great place to start is to watch videos. They've got the Royal College of Nursing and Department of Health NHS career videos, and they have some great videos across the different fields of nursing, such as a day in the life of a registered nurse. Also, we have the Nursing and Midwifery Council website, and it's very important that you look at registered nurse proficiencies before your interview. We have standards of proficiencies representing the skills, knowledge and attributes of all registered nurses. They must demonstrate these proficiencies. Currently, there are 7 platforms that might change in the future. This is in 2023, but there are currently 7 platforms, and one example proficiency links to leading and managing care and working in teams, for example. This is helpful too, as you can think about your past experiences and describe where you positively collaborated in a team, for example. The third thing you can do is network with registered nurses. There are lots of nursing forums on Facebook and Twitter, for example. There's the Royal College of Nursing Student Facebook group, or the UK Student Nurse Support and Advice Facebook group. If you ask a question, you usually have lots of constructive advice and help, and you may know registered nurses that you can talk to as well. Have a look at the NHS 6 Cs. These are a set of core values for all health and social care staff that are essential for compassionate care. They include care, compassion, competence, communication, courage and commitment. And sometimes questions will link to one of those areas. You can find the NHS 6 Cs on the Department of Health websites. You can Google them quite easily. And lots of employers also have them on their websites. When you've done this research, then spend some time to reflect on the core skills and qualities of a registered nurse and what a registered nurse does. This will help you answer key questions on the role. If they ask you, what qualities do you think a registered nurse needs to have? What skills and strengths do you have that align to this course or a registered nurse role, such as compassion, caring, able to problem solve, work well in a team or with others. So it's important that your answers come from your own research, as it's more meaningful and you can answer questions further and more deeply than if you're questioned and you've done your research. And it's important not just to copy answers from videos off the internet that you think the interviewer wants to hear. It's that background research that you can recall at interview. If someone asks you a question, you can actually say, I've looked on the NMC website at the proficiencies, I've networked with other registered nurses, I've reviewed the NHS 6Cs, I've looked at videos, NHS career videos. You've got depth to your answers then. So if we look at this systematically, first look at what is an apprenticeship. You should have some knowledge about the apprenticeship and what you've applied for and what it is. A great way to do this is by attending apprenticeship open days and university events so you know what you're applying for. For example, how many study days do I have? How do my study days work? What wage do I receive? Do I have one university day and 2 placement days, then 2 shifts at work? How many hours do I need to work for this apprenticeship? Some will say 38 hours as a minimum, some say full time. How does my supernumerary time work? How will I be paid? What shifts am I expected to do? You don't have to know everything, and if you're not sure, you can always have a question at interview, but you should have some idea about what you are applying for. And this is a question often asked by interviewers, and you can say, well, I've attended an open day, or I've read a course handbook or apprenticeship information sheet, or I've watched an apprenticeship employer video which has increased your understanding. So you really show insight and that you've looked into what this apprenticeship entails. Talk to the employer, apprenticeship lead and the university program lead. It may state a recruiting lead on an apprenticeship advertised as a post, and you can contact them or email them if you're not sure. You usually can download core online information, for example, course handbooks, information packs, as I said, watching videos relating to the role or to the university program course, and network with other student nurses who've completed the apprenticeship course who are on the course now really helps too. As well as knowing about how the apprenticeship is structured, you need to find out about what the Registered Nurse Academic Degree Programme entails. Currently, the level of degree for pre-registration nursing courses to become a registered nurse in the UK is a level 6 credited degree. For nursing associate, it is a level 5 foundational degree. Now, the UK may be coming out of the current university credit system, so if you watch this video in years to come, it may not be called a level 6 degree. It's August 2023. You also need to know about the programme, the types of teaching and learning taking place on that academic programme. Is the programme made up of different core modules, topic areas? Does it reflect a blended learning approach that combines face-to-face and online activities? You may have a range of teaching seminars or self-directed study on this Registered Nurse Degree Apprenticeship programme. Do you have a range of assessments that include posters, essays, observed skilled assessment? You can really stand out as an applicant if you've got some knowledge about the academic degree programme. You'll be doing it to find out information, attend open days, university events, contact the university programme lead if you're unsure, and ask for a programme handbook. Review online materials and download information. You should be able to get most of the information online. Course information packs will have the information. Often universities have got excellent videos you can watch relating to the course. All universities have an allocated course lead. You can email them, or you may need to email or telephone the course administrator, who will then link you to the lead and answer any questions you've got. But it's the programme handbook that usually will have all the information on. Network with other students who have completed the academic course or who are on the course. If you work for the employer offering the apprenticeship, you can often ask managers to network you with people, or the apprenticeship lead will network you with people who are already on the apprenticeship and doing that academic course. So talk to current students. If you're asked a question about how you will manage the course, for example, you need to know what the course entails academically, or how you're going to manage the academic requirements on the course. That's a classic question. And you can say, well, I've looked at the handbooks, or I've looked at a video, I know it's blended learning, and what you know about the course and the topics, and the type of teaching that's taking place. Right, so now we can move into preparing for some potential interview questions. And it first helps to think about what are the interviewers looking for. Firstly, they want to know that you have the right qualities for nursing. So what are those qualities they're looking for? All the signposting and research I suggested in my previous slides will help you. When I'm interviewing for apprenticeships, I'm looking for someone who is kind, compassionate, non-judgmental, as you need to work with people from a wide variety of backgrounds that might be different to yours. I'm looking for someone who will work well in a team, who respects different opinions, but isn't afraid to speak up if they need help or they think something isn't right. Someone who's honest, trustworthy. Interviewers also want to know that you have the knowledge to manage your time correctly, that effectively, that because you've got to balance being on a degree and the needs of the apprenticeship, working in practice, your placements, that you problem solve, that you're systematic, that you are professional. Have you thought about how you can manage the apprenticeship and the degree work? Are you able to have a work-life balance? Again, I've indicated where to find information about the degree and the apprenticeship on offer, which will help you answer questions about managing and organising your work whilst you're doing your apprenticeship. Thirdly, they want to know that you're the right person for this opportunity. The interview is a competitive process, so they need to be assured that you deserve a place on this apprenticeship, that you've prepared, that you've looked into what you've applied for, and that you're the best candidate for the apprenticeship. If lots of people apply, you're going to be compared to other candidates on what you say. All interviews should use a point-based system, so you're awarded points for each answer you give, and your answers are scored and rated. So whoever scores the most will be rated in order. So you want to give yourself the best chance of success, and to do that, it's important to prepare answers to generic questions before your interview. I don't mean learning answers off by heart, but thinking through, how am I going to answer a question if they ask me, why have I applied for this apprenticeship? Why should they offer you this apprenticeship above other candidates? That's a classic question. So you're thinking about your past work, your academic experiences, and have some practical examples that align to what you've applied for. So before I go through some example questions, some really good exercises to help you prepare for your interview. Firstly, think about why you have chosen to become a registered nurse. Think about your reasons, not anyone else's. Don't just pick and draw from videos off the internet or what someone else says. What drew you specifically to become a registered nurse? And be honest. When did you decide to become a registered nurse? Do you enjoy looking after other people, leading, problem solving? What's the difference between a support worker and a registered nurse? Write down your key values and skills that you think will make you a good registered nurse, and then highlight any current or past achievements that demonstrate these values and skills. Have you made a positive difference to something, a difference supporting someone? Are you a good communicator? Do you work well in a team or when under pressure? Are you good at problem solving or managing or leading a project? Can you draw on examples from your current job or a past job or school or volunteering or charitable work? Any job or volunteering where you've worked with the public is also very good to highlight, as you're going to be communicating with a range of different people in a cafe, for example. Have you completed any projects that you led and problem solved, where you worked in a team, where you overcame or addressed any challenges? If you worked in a busy shop and you've learnt to work effectively under pressure, for example, or something that you've learnt that was new, or an academic achievement where you've worked hard to pass an exam or complete past coursework, is very good to highlight. Any awards or past achievements. And it could even be a supportive project at school or in the local community. When you receive your interview invite, ensure that you check what type of interview you've invited to. Is it a face-to-face, virtual or group interview? Remember, if it's a group interview, try to contribute in some way, listen to others, even if you're a bit shy, give your view. And I've got some very good tips in my YouTube video, tips for a group nursing interview, and other videos such as how to deal with nerves. Also be punctual, check the location and arrive punctually, check internet links. If it's a virtual interview, make sure that the room is quiet with no distractions, tidy up behind you or blur the background on if it's on a Teams or a Zoom's meeting. Ensure your mobile's not on, your phone's not pinging off notifications next to you. Make sure you can see your face if it's virtual in your top half. If you're using your phone, ideally you want to use a desktop or an iPad because it's more stable, but if you are using your phone, don't conduct the whole interview by you holding your phone. It'll need to be on a stand or propped up. Because otherwise it'll start to wobble, and it's also off-putting for you when you're trying to think of your questions, and it's off-putting to interviewers watching you if the screen keeps moving. If you do need to cancel, try to cancel as early as possible before the event, and that gives you more chance of being offered another interview slot rather than just not turning up and telling them why. So now I've presented a few potential interview questions that you can prepare for. You are going to be asked this question, tell me about yourself in some form. So try and be systematic and concise. So you might want to start historically, back from the past to now, that led you to apply for this registered nurse degree apprenticeship. So you're summarising key past experiences, jobs and academic courses. Then what does a registered nurse do? Do you know what the key responsibilities a registered nurse has? What is the difference between a support worker and a registered nurse, or a nursing associate and a registered nurse? And it needs to be more than as a support worker, they wash the patients and the registered nurse tells us what to do. You should be talking about the registered nurse and Nursing and Midwifery Council proficiencies. They define the difference. Registered nurses are accountable for leading care of the patient caseload. And all the prior preparation will help you answer that question, the slides that I've presented before this slide. Why have you applied for this nursing degree apprenticeship? Or why have you applied to become a registered nurse through an apprenticeship route? And again, be honest about what led you to this moment. Be enthusiastic, promote what you've done, that you've worked hard completing an access course, or as a support worker completing your care certificate, your functional maths to apply, for example. You might always have wanted to become a registered nurse. The apprenticeship style appeals to you, being slightly longer than a full-time pre-registration nursing degree, but that you will be having some experience on shifts, and that appeals to you, the way it's set up. And this is where your research on what it is about the nursing apprenticeship that appeals to you will help you answer this question. Similarly, the same research about nursing, if they ask you what a registered nurse does, it's that signposting that will help you. What values and qualities do you have that will help you on this nursing programme or to become a registered nurse? Tell me what you know about this academic course. Tell me what you know about this apprenticeship. This is a level 6 nursing degree programme. Tell me about what you know about this programme. So some typical questions about how to manage your workload and get life balance. How do you plan to manage the work involved doing a registered nurse degree apprenticeship? And to answer that question, it's very good to say, well, you've downloaded the programme, you've spoken to on an open event, you've spoken to the module lead, you've spoken to other people. Depending, you don't have to have done all of that, but that it shows that you've looked into what it entails. How will you manage a work-life balance? So if you've done previous courses, it's helpful to draw on past experiences, how you manage your time effectively, how you utilise support through librarians, for example. Do you know what the academic requirements are for this course? So ideally, you should start answering this sort of question, that you have some understanding of what the apprenticeship entails. You've thought about the workload, you understand that you've got to complete various module assignments every semester, you've got proficiencies to complete on placement. When I was, you might say that when you were a support worker, you had to complete competencies or proficiencies on your care certificate. And that you understand that it's a higher level 6 degree, you've thought about what you're going to do. You need to show essentially that you've thought about how you're going to manage the requirements on the course and the workload, and state some of the strategies that you're going to use, such as, you might even link to family support, looking at your childcare, that you've got a family network around you. and the study resources, planning and organising well in advance, managing your diary. They're simple strategies, but that you've thought about them. And you might have done that if you did A-levels, an access course or other courses. Then you might have some questions about different areas linked to being a registered nurse, the qualities, skills and proficiencies required. Even questions such as, what does compassion mean to you? Tell me about a time when you worked well in a team. Talk me through a challenge that you've dealt with and how you overcame that challenge. Talk me through when you learnt from a challenging situation. And it could be something out of nursing, working in a busy coffee shop, dealing with an unhappy customer or a patient complaint. If you're a support worker, draw on your past experiences, but you're showing that you can learn from a situation, that you're not rude, that you can stay calm and patient, you problem solve and try to resolve an issue calmly, showing that you're systematic in your approach, that you ask for help, you access support. Try and think of some good practical examples linked to key qualities in nursing, such as team working, communicating, before you attend your interview. And sometimes one good example, practical example, may cover all of those areas. Some of the generic questions you might be asked: what are your strengths? So don't hold back here, don't be shy, and doing the exercises I gave you earlier will enable you to reflect on the qualities and the skills that you already have that are transferable to a registered nurse apprenticeship. What areas of nursing or this apprenticeship are you most worried about? What do you think you need the most support with? Again, be honest. If it's writing essays, then that's fine. You can access academic skills, support sessions. But when you answer this question, try to think about how you will manage the issue that you offer, the example that you give. So for example, you would access all the support available from tutors at university. You're going to access library support if academic writing you're worried about, but you might have key strengths in competencies, signing off in placement. You might have more practical skills. You might be great in OSCE assessments or poster presentations, because everybody's got strengths and weaknesses in different areas. Or talk about how you've developed your academic skills in the past. And that's so with any question where they're asking you essentially for a weakness or the area you think you're going to need the support with, be honest, but counteract it with strategies to deal with that. Sometimes you might be asked about a current healthcare topics. Try to look at what's going on in healthcare at the time. Then finally, you might be asked some scenario-based questions. What would you do if this happened? And the key here is always to use your common sense. If you're not sure, you would ask. You would always ensure the safety of staff. You would always ensure good communication, listening skills, being patient and calm if it's a patient scenario. You'd be kind to the patient. You would always ask for help and access support if needed. And it's usually about being compassionate, calm, professional, respectful, and always non-judgmental if it's a scenario-based question. So as apprenticeships are competitive, there is a chance that you might not be offered one at this time. Always be polite and ask for verbal feedback. All interviewers should provide verbal feedback at least, and not obliged to give you written feedback, but ask the interviewer how you could have improved your answers. Were there's some areas that were weaker areas, and this feedback will be invaluable if you're going to apply again in the future. And I would always suggest that you apply again. Check when you can apply again. Are there any future opportunities to apply again? Thank the person for the opportunity. If there is a future opportunity, when is the deadline? And I know many people who went for a second time and were offered a place. So it just depends on how many applicants and how many do really well as to who gets offered places. So to give yourself the best chance, it's about preparing. So good luck. I wish you every success in your interview. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to put them in the YouTube comments. If you prefer to do this privately, you can DM me on Twitter or my website. And if you are interested in buying any of my books, How to Thrive as a Newly Qualified Nurse or How to Prepare for Future Interviews, that goes from early career nurses right up to senior level. There are links in the description in YouTube for you to buy my books. But good luck all of you with your interviews.